Kazakhstan International Vectors program informs you about international relations, political opinions, economic solutions and social development. In the bosom of great catastrophes ripens a passionate desire to live. Albert Camus, French philosopher. Asia suffers from disasters more than other continents. Why the natural disasters forecasts are so important for the city's design? Should we wait for a strong earthquake in Kazakhstan in the next 5 years? The number of natural disasters in the world is growing. According to some projections, the number of natural disasters by 2050 may increase fourfold and the damage caused by them in 9 times. During the period from 1994 till 2013, 6,873 natural disasters happened worldwide. On average, 68,000 people died annually. Every year, 218 million people become victims. Economic losses amounted to $2.6 trillion. The greatest damage to the global economy was caused by hurricanes, storms and tropical cyclones. They are followed by destructive earthquakes and tsunamis caused by them. The movement of soil have caused the majority of deaths from the natural hazards. There are many reasons for the world number of natural disasters. The amount of damage from them and the number of human casualties is growing. The first one is the global climate change.
If you look at the analysis of the Intergovernmental Committee for Climate Change, the IPCC, the documentation, the evidence of climate change related disasters are clearly documented, particularly the hydrometeorological hazards. Now there are more cyclones, more flash floods, the changes in the rainfall, changes in the long dry periods. So all these are actually resulting in more frequent and more intense hazards and disasters.
The second reason for the increase of the serious consequences and the number of human victims is the growth of the world's population. The process of urbanization has a negative impact on the consequences of natural disasters. According to forecasts of scientists demographers, by 2030 more than half the world's population will live in the cities.
For example, the urbanization or rapid urban growth increases, people move to coastal areas where there is more economic activity, where there are ports, where there are fishery, where there is farming. So which means coastal areas are also highly prone to cyclones, highly prone to flash flooding. So more people in hazard prone areas means more people exposed to risk. So we see more numbers of people getting affected from the disasters.
The United States and China suffer most of all from devastating natural disasters. Among the continents, Asia holds the leadership. Approximately half of the world's natural disasters happens here. The latest natural disaster was the earthquake in Nepal that happened in April 25, 2015. The earthquake killed more than 8.5 million people. Nearly 17,000 were injured. The material losses of the country amounted to $10 billion. This is half of the GDP of Nepal. However, the Asian region has many years of experience in disaster prevention, and warning and alarm systems here are well developed.
So countries like Bangladesh and India have shown how they have advanced in preparedness against the cyclones and floods, for example. The flood-prone housing techniques, even for the very poor communities, earthquake-proof housing techniques, which also is based on thousands of years of community knowledge in living with this kind of hazards.
In addition, the early warning systems for cyclonic winds are being used here, and volunteers explain to the population how to behave during the evacuation. Developed countries spend more on the prevention of accidents than the developing ones. For example, Japan, for the fight against natural disasters, allocates annually $25 billion.
Japan, a country like Japan with a long history of frequent earthquakes, they have excelled in accessing the information, improving their building codes, the building practice, how they construct, how they set up the communities and habitats, and most of all also the knowledge and awareness of people, how to react, how to respond and how to act in the situation of an earthquake.
The joint efforts of states are also directed at the prevention of natural disasters. In 2000, the UN adopted a global strategy on the reduction of disaster risks. In fact, it includes 3 directions: reduction of existing risks, preventing the emergence of new ones, and the recovery. Many architects in the world are striving to create indestructible buildings. Tsunami is a frequent occurrence in the coastal regions, and one family in the state of Washington has expressed a desire to be ready for the arrival of the high waves. The Design's Northwest Architects Studio has developed for them a tsunami house in which several levels of security are provided. Firstly, they have raised the basic premises of 9 feet above the ground level. The foundation was set up so it is able to withstand fast and high waves. Durable materials such as steel and concrete reinforced exterior walls of the house. From the inside, the solidity and stability of the house is emphasized by the decoration from red cedar. Such houses are able to withstand a hurricane up to 167 km per hour. The new reality: earthquakes in the oil-producing regions of Kazakhstan. More than half of the glaciers of the northern Tian Shan have melted in a half of a century. The most important measure for the disaster risk reduction is its management. In 2005, the UN has gathered the second international conference on disaster risk reduction in Japan. There was adopted the Hyogo framework for action, aimed at reducing the vulnerability and enhancing the resilience of nations and communities. During a 10-year period from 2005 to 2015, an analysis of disasters and catastrophes in the world has been conducted. As a result of natural disasters, during the period from 2005 to 2015, more than 700,000 people have died worldwide. Nearly 1.5 million people were injured. About 23 million were made homeless. From the point of economic losses, 1.5 billion people were affected. The economic losses themselves amounted to about 1.3 trillion US. By the time of completion of the program, the main objectives were not fully achieved. In 2015, in the Japanese city of Sendai, the 3rd UN World Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction was held, with the participation of 187 member countries. During the conference, a new framework for disaster risk reduction for the period of 2015-2030 was adopted. The Central Asian region is prone to many natural disasters: floods, droughts, mudslides, landslides and avalanches. However, the most dangerous and numerous disasters are the earthquakes. Northern Tian Shan is the most seismically active region in Central Asia. According to the Emergency Committee of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of the Republic of Kazakhstan, from 2004 to 2013, on the territory of the Republic, 1,427 natural disasters took place. At the same time, 13,297 people were injured, 133 people were killed. The material damage amounted to about 50 billion tenge. More than 40% of the territory of Kazakhstan is prone to earthquakes. These include the eastern, southwestern and southern regions of Kazakhstan. In recent years, earthquakes began to occur also in regions with intensive mining of oil and gas. The Institute of Seismology of the Ministry of Education and Science of the Republic of Kazakhstan is engaged in long-term and medium-term forecasting of earthquakes on the territory of the Republic. Long-term projections are being made for 5 to 7 years, medium-term ones for the year ahead. We are working on super long forecasting. This is the development of maps of varying detail of general seismic zoning, detailed seismic zoning and zoning of large cities and industrial facilities. These works are intended to plan on a national scale, on a regional scale, the scale of a particular city, the problem of the construction, conditioning decision-making and carrying out earthquake-resistant construction. These studies necessary for the projections include the definition of regional and local seismicity, highlighting zones of tectonic faults, identifying active fault zones. The Institute's specialists are working together with seismologists from China and Kyrgyzstan. If we consider the territory of the mountain range of Central Asia and South Asia, we can say that there are strong earthquakes. Literally significant seismic events over the past 2 years have occurred in India, Nepal, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, on the border of China, Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan. And of course this question is much concerned because it seems that there are some migration movements of seismic processes to the north. According to the forecasts of the Institute, in the next 5 to 7 years, no strong destructive earthquakes in the region are expected. The researchers also predict the seismic risks for Kazakhstan regions. Taking into account projections of the scientists, cities are being planned and building materials are being selected to minimize the economic and human losses from natural disasters. The Institute's tasks also include the prevention of natural disasters in the mining industry objects. To do this, a series of measures are being conducted. The first is evaluation of seismic stability of oil and gas, mining and metallurgic industry and the energy sector. I mean big hydroelectric power plants and hydropower plants, etc. Secondly, creating seismic monitoring systems in large deposits, as well as around major technical subsurface structures. And the third is to prepare the objects and especially the heads of objects, subsoil users and their businesses. Medium-term and short-term forecasts of the Institute of Seismology are being directed to the Archimat, the Committee of Emergency Situations and the Republican Crisis Center. The everyday challenge to monitor the threat of natural disasters lies on the shoulders of specialists from the Department of Emergency Situations. During the summer, the greatest danger to the city of Almaty is represented by moraine lakes. Kazakhstan Services Department, in conjunction with the Department of Emergency Situations of Almaty, is currently undergoing preventive activities on emptying 4 moraine lakes with high-performance pumping systems. Geography Institute is also engaged in monitoring glaciers in Kazakhstan. History of such observations counts more than 60 years. On the Tuyuksu Glacier, at an altitude of 3,450 meters in the Kishi-Almaty River Basin, runs a year-round research station, the only one of that kind in the territory of the Central Asian states. Over the past 50 years, the area of glaciers in the Ili-Alatau region has decreased by almost 50% and continues to decline at a rate of about 1% per year. Shrinking glaciers has a number of negative consequences. This is the change in the flow regime of mountain rivers, the formation of glacial moraine lakes, increase in the frequency of rain mud flows. In winter period, in order to prevent avalanches, Almaty State Kazakhstan Services Department, in conjunction with the Department of Emergency Situations of Almaty, are conducting preventive avalanche slopes. In the Republic of Kazakhstan, there is the Atlas of Natural and Man-Made Hazards and Risks of Emergency Situations. The work upon this atlas was carried out by more than 150 experts from 20 scientific organizations. The prime contractor was the Institute of Geography. The atlas contains 182 maps of natural and man-made hazards and risks on the entire territory of Kazakhstan. Currently, on the money allocated from the budget of Almaty Archimat, 69 lilac speech systems were bought, the uniqueness of which is that they can simultaneously combine audible signals and the instructions to the population how to behave in certain situations. Also, the Department of Emergency Situations informs the population via SMS in the event of storm warnings or other emergencies.